The Creator made the earth. The earth, land, change the people, the Indian people, come create the This land is given to us by the Creator. The Indians held it sacred, valuable. They don't want to part with it, never.
Silkshin, Next, Simpoilch, Okanagan. Our names derive from earth, from its living things, from its dead things.
And so the old-time Indians studied nature and gave names to all objects. To start with, we have the chamasket, which means the sky, or the vault of the sky. And today the mountains come out, so we say lish, that's mountains. Then in our neighborhood we have lakes. Chatqel is lake. We have Insachantis, Gultinsachantis, that's rivers. And we have Atzeltel, trees. Gultitemich takes in the birds of all kinds. The fields are green today. So and we hear cars going by on the road. We call them ocean. Literally, it means wrinkled feet, on kind of the rubber that used in the olden days. And even the tires have treads now, so they're called ocean.
Look at the big city now. Time was these banks were just an open country, Indian country, where our ancestors had lived. Our grandparents told about all of this because they had to leave this territory under the Removal Act. They used to have their villages along the banks on both sides of the river. In those days it was known as the Fast River and the Salmon Falls. Now as we look at Spokane, it has changed a great deal. Even some of our children do not know that these banks were once occupied by their ancestors. Now there are old buildings as well as modern buildings, and the river used to flow freely without anything hanging over it. And there are many more things been made along the river, which creates a great change. And we have to think back how our grandparents told us about this area.
When the belief was there was but one universe, and everything had life, and everything had to be respected. There was life in the rocks, in the trees, in the plants, in the stream, and that children were taught that if they respected these things, that the spirit from these things would give them wisdom, understanding, and knowledge. This was the type of schooling that the Indians had. that the rock might speak to you, the spirit of the rock, and how the different seasons brought different spirits. And children were taught to highly and deeply respect these things, because there was a lot of understanding within these things. And it was the same about the high universe, the sky and the stars. And today our aged people cannot understand why there has to be explorations in the universe. They are disturbing the spirits of the nature.
Millions of dollars worth of irrigation and development of lands down in the Columbia Basin has taken place, but yet nothing on the reservation has been done. And I'd like to explain even more of some of the lopsidedness of Grand Coulee Dam. When the lands were being taken for the reservoir, they condemned lands on the reservation side, but they allowed the non-Indian side to give flowage easements so they could still own their own land. And through the whole construction phases of the dam, there's been no fairness at all between government and the tribes and just non-Indians and the tribes. After 4 years of battle, I think we're coming out on top. We got Congress to direct the Interior Department to work with the tribes. So all of their crookedness through all those years, I think, is finally starting to backfire on them.
For many, many years, that I know way back, if you look into history, our elders, our old chiefs couldn't comprehend that land could be sold, you could get money for land. How can you sell land? How can you sell air? So it was easy for the non-Indian to get Indian land, for the federal government to take our land. Now all of this protection of their natural resources, their land and their water, which we consider the land, the body, the water, the blood of the Indian people, the ownership of that is based on their being here forever.
And it was said among our people that a man from the upper band foresaw the coming of the new people. His name, this old medicine man's name, was Erie Retchen, or you can interpret that as a hoops on the back or circles on the back. He foretold them that there would be new people coming to this area, and he told them they would bring many good things, and they would bring good teaching. And so it wasn't new when the new people arrived here. But after the new people arrived here, saloons went up, trading posts, and other things began to take place here. And then one day, a man that they called their Indian agent, Governor Isaac Stevens, arrived among the people. He wanted to talk to the chief and to the sub-chiefs. And he told them that this could never be a reservation, that they had to begin to plan to relocate into another Indian territory. And then he told them it was open for them to go to the Flathead territory or to the Coeur d'Alene territory or to the lower Spokane territory, which was then known as the Tsaqatsitlin or Deer Lake Basin, below another river falls. This all took time. They had to hold many meetings or council meetings where the chief and the sub-chiefs sat together and talked. But in the meantime, there were ministers, and the black robe had arrived too.
the missionaries in the schools, I guess, were the ones that were making the most effort to change the habits and the ways of the people. Like the kids have to get to school, and then they have to be up early in the morning and things of that sort. And they brought in games and dress, so on and so forth, like the mainstream of society. And always in the back of the heads of the grown-ups, not the children, but the grown-ups, and then the children when they are older, and they ask themselves why. And there doesn't seem to be any good reason, except that what's good for General Motors is good for the country, and what's good for the city is good for the thing, and that they feel that they're doing the tribe a favor. It's hard to see why that they would they'd want to do that. I suppose it's because it's easier for them, and they don't know, and you get the poor little kids, and you wear this, and you sing this, and so on and so forth. I remember on St. Patrick's Day, and those little Indians were dressed up like leprechauns, and they were singing McNamara's band. And they didn't know who McNamara was or why they were dressed like that. The teachers need to get an education, and the missionaries need to get an education too. But maybe some of them are too old to learn, or they just don't care.
She comes to the mission begging for food. So this time we made her sit down in front of the camera while the cook filled her tin can. The Indians don't much care what things taste like. Soup, meat, it all goes into the same can mixed up, and they eat it.
His soldiers hand out blankets that give us a disease, a smallpox disease. When this disease started, it spread very rapidly. The Coeur d'Alenes and the Kootenays and some of the local tribes in the plateau areas were very honored to receive the gifts of the diseased blankets. But maybe somewhere in that time and place we had strength to overcome that disease, and that's why some of us are still here today. We have passed through all kinds of assaults.
One of the main reasons that a person like myself has to be doing what I'm doing is I seen the old ladies out here in the hills digging bitterroot and making buckskin, and society and the systems are always pulling at them. I got into it because I was mad. I just seen a whole lot of sadness. I couldn't understand why that had to be. My first 7 years of life was up in the woods, living mostly with my grandparents, and my grandpa was always telling me about old ways and how you have to respect not only your brothers and sisters, but your brothers and sisters of the four-legged and the winged, and everything is in order. And if you mess up one, it ain't gonna come back. I was uncomfortable most of my time with white people when I was in school, and I didn't know why. I thought I was an oddball. That thing that was missing inside of me that I didn't understand was that I have a relationship with the ground, with the earth.
old traditional hammer and chisel, I'd say it'd probably take a lot longer than 8 hours to carve a big pole that size. So the chainsaw was a bet to cut down the hours. That doesn't cut down the design or the aesthetics of the art itself. It's just a little faster and a little easier to do. And has nothing, I don't think, has anything to do with whether I'm a traditionalist or an 18th century man. I'm a today fella. I work with today's tools. In today's world, I'm not a hammer and chisel man, nor have I ever lived in the old days. I probably did, but I don't know it. Acculturation, I guess, is probably what both sides need, you know. It should not be a one-sided thing. It should be done by both cultures, white and Indian and black and yellow or whatever have you. They should all learn from each other and learn good things and appreciate the good things, and then there won't be so much suspicion of people's. They would like each other more. And the best thing I can do is continue to share all the things that I know, because that's part of my tradition, is sharing. So if I'm acculturated only to the point that I can communicate, but that doesn't mean I forget all my traditions. I know my old medicines, I know my old sweats, and I know my songs, my language. If I cut the totem poles or carvings or logs, I know that the sawdust will go back to earth and probably become back to the soil again. So I feel that the country at large, you know, is constantly raping the land to a point that they're not putting much back to the earth, so that eventually in the few centuries there isn't going to be much left for people to live on, you know. They're taking and taking and taking and not giving back. You know, this is like a mother who constantly gives to her children until she has no more to give. But if her sons or daughters loved her mother, they would give back to their mother as much as they possibly can. And this is the way I think Earth is. Earth is a mother to all of us.
There has to be a way made so that Indians can get back on the land. Indians left here because they said they couldn't get jobs. I came back here because this is where the opportunity is. This is where the opportunity lies for all the Indians on this reservation. The tribal councils are afraid to get into business because they've been taught failure by the Bureau of Indian Affairs. Don't develop cattle cooperatives. Don't develop tribal ranches. You'll lose. Hire a white man to do it for you, and that's the way you can win. Certainly I can't be a jet pilot on this reservation, or an electrical engineer, or an aerospace technician. But I can't be those things in a lot of communities in the United States. But I can be a farmer, I can be a rancher, and I can be my own boss, and I can live as free as I can possibly live. And freedom to me is the whole thing, you know. How hard you work is how free you are. For example, that old tractor sitting over there, I can get on that thing and ride it all day. And I quit because it's dark and I can't see anymore. But I like it. And what I'm getting out of that dollar return is very little. But I'm happy. But I'm free. You say Indian and farmer don't mix. But Indians have a hell of a lot longer history of being farmers than probably the white people do. And there's nothing wrong with being a farmer. There's something wrong with being a farmer when you abuse the land. You know, I can become rich in a longer period of time by taking care of the land, and it'll take care of me.
Indians, they just get they kill what they need, never any more than what they could use. They never hired up for things to eat. They get it from the land. That's how important our land is to the Indians. The city people comes over, they kill everything. The common fish, they keep the big ones, let the little ones throw them out in the riverbank. They just waste it. Why? The state lets them do that.
Well, we can get more out of the land. We can use fertilizers and weed sprays and poisons, but we'll pay for it in the end. So basically the land is a place that all Indians, regardless of where they're from, are tied to it. Some reason, some unknown reason, maybe some spirit in the wind, I don't know, that says you're an Indian, and that's where you belong. A lot of us want to go back and do the things we have to do. We got to take a look at what we've got, say it's mine, and by God, we're going to keep it. I think it's up to each and every individual Indian to do what he has to do on his own, to carve out a little bit of the reservation and say, I want to make this a better place for me and my kid. I think that every person has a hoop of life, and that in the Indian hoop of life you have the things of Indian background. The right to dance, the right to sing, the right for beads, the right for deer meat and buckskin and things that make you feel good. The white man's hoop of life is more of a owning this, controlling that, competing with their brothers and trying to beat somebody out all the time. And I'm going to continue to do my damnedest to allow my people to be the way they've been for a long, long time.
Coyote is the important character. See, he is the changer. Coyote is a medicine man. He is a husband. He is an evil one. He is cruel sometimes. He is a thief. And if things weren't operating just right, he transformed it. It is told how he can change the river's course. Or wherever there wasn't enough roots and herbs, he made a transformation. And he would speak and say, and I here declare at this moment that this will be changed. He is an outstanding character. To give an example to the children, that in this universe that there was a very supernatural spirit, the Great Spirit, the Most High, the one that all the people had to look up to, the first one to think of in the morning and to make their thanksgivings to at the end of the day, who makes all things grow, who can change things, and who can heal all the aches and pains, and who laughs with you in a time of joy, who is the one creator and master of the earth and the universe.
chicks قلت لوتن سلا يا